Hi, my name is Cohen-Sasson. I'm a PhD candidate at the Faculty of Law, Tel Aviv University. My academic advisor is Professor Michael Birnhack. This video will present my recent paper, The Patent Medium. But before laying out the legal arguments, I would like to start with the problem I address, our misunderstanding of patent communication. Here's an example. Patent law requires the publication of a patent application only after 18 months from its filing date. However, in practice, approximately half of applicants publish their applications much earlier. This early publication does not expedite the examination process and does not grant any patent rights. The early publication seems like an odd phenomenon. Why would patentees voluntarily publish information they do not have to? It's counterintuitive to our concept. We expect that applicants will do their best to postpone the disclosure, not to have it earlier. And yet, reality proves differently. The early publication, like other examples, indicates that there is a misconception regarding the way the patent system operates. We're accustomed to thinking of the patent system in the following way. An inventor comes up with an invention, and because she wants to protect it with a patent, she must submit a patent application that contains information about the invention. Then, the patent office examines the application, and after a while, the patent information becomes public. This common description of information transfer implies a one-way channel from an inventor to the public. It also indicates that the disclosure of information is against the interests of the inventor. However, as the early publication example shows, it seems that this conception does not reflect the actual way in which things work. In the next 5 minutes, I will discuss the main arguments of the paper. First, I will describe the current mindset concerning patent communication, namely, the flow of messages in the patent system. I will demonstrate why this mindset may sometimes be misleading and propose an updated paradigm of patent communication. Finally, to support my proposal, I will use practical examples to expose the problem with the current mindset and why we should adopt a new paradigm. So with no further ado, let's dive in. I want to start with characterizing features of the patent system that highlight its communicative affordances. The first point is the informing feature. When we think about patents, we tend to focus on the content, namely the informational value of the patent. It's evident in the strong focus in patent literature on the specification, prior art, and patent claims, which inform about legal constraints and novel technologies. Indeed, informing is a central principle in patent law. But what about other communicative actions that transpire in the patent system? For instance, the patent document can signal innovation to venture capitals, generate buzz among consumers, or threaten competitors with technological dominance. The second feature is the dominance of patentees. We currently view the patentee as the most dominant and active player in patent communication. She is the one who formulates the application and chooses what to disclose and when. The public is perceived as a passive recipient. However, a closer look reveals a different picture. Additional players participate in the discourse, and they are not passive at all. Players like licensees, patent attorneys, journalists, and international entities influence the patent space. Take patent attorneys, for example. We mainly think of their bureaucratic and technical function in designing the patent application, but frequently they also implement marketing or strategic consideration that eventually affect the patent message. The third feature is the one-way channel. According to the current mindset, information flows from the patentee to other players without any feedback. Even the famous social bargain metaphor, that a patent is an exchange of information for exclusive rights, implies this linearity, as the only party who communicates information is the patentee. However, there are other communications that diverge from this patentee to public channel. Patent reviews are one example. Patent reviews are online articles that resemble a consumer review. A journalist updates the public about a patent application and analyzes the invention. Such reviews are open for public discussion, allowing others to praise or criticize the invention. This goes to show an inverse flow of information from the public to the patentee. If we zoom out, we can identify each set with a useful metaphor. The first, the one on the left, is an informative and public channel in which the patentee is the dominant and active party, while the public is a passive one. This description resembles a bulletin board. A sender pins its message on a public board with no option for a discourse. On the other hand, the second set of features suggests a space of various players that communicate with each other with both public and private messages coming from multiple directions and for different purposes. This description is reminiscent of a network, a connected system that allows complex interactions and enables a discourse. Now, after defining the network paradigm, I will try to highlight its implication on our comprehension of patent law. I will discuss one sample case from my paper, the patent pledging example. Patent pledging means waiving patent rights fully or partially. In recent decades, and especially during COVID, the pledging trend became increasingly popular as firms like Google, Tesla, IBM, and Moderna pledged many patents. From the bulletin board's point of view, it's an irrational behavior. Why would patentees give up their precious rights? According to the bulletin board paradigm, the whole idea of the patent system is to acquire patent rights, not to waive them. The network paradigm resolves this riddle. Indeed, patentees may lose something due to a patent pledge, but they gain something else. For instance, pledging improves the patentee's public image or helps him to evade criticism. Such considerations are particularly important when solidarity and collaboration are required, like throughout COVID. And indeed, this analysis coincides with the increasing popularity of pledging in the last 3 years of the pandemic. The point is that patent communication is more complex than assumed. There are various motives for communicating through the patent medium, but the bulletin board paradigm is just looking for the wrong ones. Also, the network paradigm highlights another important point. Patent communication includes not only mandatory communications like the famous disclosure requirement, but also voluntary communications. Pledging is one example, and in my paper, I discuss additional phenomena. To conclude this presentation, I firmly believe that the network paradigm can help us to better understand the patent system. I invite you to read the paper, and I would love to hear your take on it. Thank you for your attention, and I hope to see you at the conference.